But the best trade or signing or however you want to put it down, what general manager had the best? Minnesota Vikings. This is a team that at the beginning of the year, everybody's looking at him saying, well, you've got this quarterback. You love him. It's JJ. He's fantastic. You know, McCarthy, he's phenomenal from Michigan. He's done well. He gets hurt. He gets a knee injury. So now we've got to get a guy that named Sam Darnold that has not had any success anywhere along the way. And I know that you know that well because you're a Jets guy, and that's where he started off his career. Then he went to Carolina. Then he bounced around to a multiple different teams, San Francisco, who you name it. The Minnesota Vikings signed this guy for almost nothing, which when you talk about quarterbacks, that's real money out there. And he did the right thing by coming to the Vikings. Why is that? Well, because JJ was going to be a rookie, unlikely to start, but maybe, but unlikely. So he gets a tight end in Hockenson, who's probably one of the best in the entire NFL. He's got 3 receivers that are considered by a group, by far the best grouping of receivers in the NFL. And Sam Darnold now is a 12-2 quarterback that everybody's talking about. And the fact that his career has completely changed because of where he is and the players that he has around them. So that was the best. Here's the worst. I'm going to ask you a little bit about this one, but is it Aaron? Sorry, but is it Aaron Rodgers? In year 1, he hurts the Achilles. That's nobody's fault. That's something that can happen. Year 2, he's got a terrible attitude. He's playing okay at best, but the players and a lot of the guys on the team have kind of given up on him, maybe even given up on the coach. I don't know. But that was a lot of money that they spent there. But I think the very worst is Kirk Cousins. This guy who was here with the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm not saying anything bad about Kirk, but he also leads the entire NFL in interceptions this year with 16 of them. He got $180 million over 4 years. $100 million of it is guaranteed, and he's probably going to get cut at the end of this year. They just benched him, Mark, for the rest of the year. And this is a team that actually is in the playoff hunt. They're 7-7. They're right behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 8-6. So they are in the mix to get into the playoffs, and they take this quarterback that they gave $160 million off the field, and now we're going to see what Michael Penix can do. I got a funny feeling that I like Michael Penix. I don't understand why he had to slide to where he was. I thought he was one of the best in the draft. He's out of Washington. They had a great year last year. He had a great college career. It'll be interesting to see if he can direct this team with less interceptions and maybe a few more wins, because unfortunately Kirk could not do it. That had to be the worst, but I feel bad telling you about Aaron Rodgers because it's year 2, but daggone it, the guy just has not come through at all for the Jets.
No, I mean, first he hurt his Achilles, then he hurt the feelings of Jets fans around the country and certainly in the tri-state area. I think, that $100 million guarantee was maybe the dumbest financial move, but the dumbest move in terms of putting a lot of eggs in a basket that has just not remotely delivered. And, you saw indications of it, Pete, with this guy's behavior, the ayahuasca, the not showing up for this, the going on his, vision quests and all that. It's not what I want in a quarterback. So, yes, I have to give the Rubber Chicken Award for 2024 to Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets.
Shoot. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a close race with he and Kirk Cousins. All right. Next up, Mark, we're going to talk a little bit about who's on the hot seat right now in college football. Here's the amazing thing. This just shows you how angry fans can be and how mystified they can be. I'm looking at Ryan Day. He's the head coach at Ohio State. Now, he, in 5 years as the head coach, Mark, has won 66 games and lost 10. It's not so bad, right? I mean, that's a pretty nice record. In the Big Ten, he's 46-5. They want his head and they want him out because he can't beat Michigan. He has struggled against Michigan, which is their biggest rival. We all know that. But this is a little bit on the crazy side because they're going to play a really good Tennessee team. If they lose that game, there's a strong possibility after going 10-2, he's going to get fired. I mean, I'm not just joking about that or saying that. Other people are saying that's a really strong possibility. Now, this is a guy who, yes, that game against Michigan, they needed to win that game. Michigan this year wasn't the Michigan of old. But nonetheless, it's a rivalry game. Things happen in rivalry games. They lost by 3 points. Their other loss was to Oregon, the best team in the country, the only undefeated school in the country. And they lost to them. The quarterback slid 1 second too late, or they had a very chip shot field goal that they could have beaten Oregon at Oregon. So it's really not like this guy's terrible by any stretch. As a matter of fact, the patience level of the fans just shows you how impatient they can be. But if you were the guy and you were the general manager, or AD in this case, what would you do? Is it that big of a deal to lose to Michigan 5 years in a row? Because that is kind of a big deal, but to lose to them 5 years in a row, and those are 5 of your 10 losses as a team, and 5 of 5 losses in the Big Ten. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this guy is being treated a little bit harshly. I mean, a 66-10 record is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. And maybe we just need to put him into some therapy to figure out what the mental block is about figuring out how to defeat Michigan. You did so well over the rest of the conference. What's the issue here? But, Pete, I'm going to actually throw in a bonus question because I don't think you and I are going to be on together again beforehand. We might, but you never know. But on the assumption that we're not, must-watch Rose Bowl game. Do you got one?
You know what? You mean bowls just in general? I mean, I'll tell you what. When I look at the playoff, I think they got it right, number one. And actually, the game that might be one of the very best as far as what it's lining up to be, I look at this Ohio State and Tennessee game. You've got the SEC 10-2 team, the Big Ten 10-2 team, two of probably arguably some of the best teams right now in all of college football. It's really difficult to find a better game than that, but you could easily slide over and say, well, what about the Texas game? What about when Oregon gets their opportunity, and why are they in the slot that they are? It's so complicated and interesting, Mark, but I really do look forward to the Ohio State-Tennessee game because there are so many ramifications of if they lose that game, they being Ohio State, what happens? And they just signed a big player from the University of Minnesota as an offensive tackle out there at Ohio State. They are still doing well in the portal, but the portal is that's something you'd love to have a conversation about this sometime because there's a lot of screw ups going on. Marshall being the great example yesterday, 29 players left in the portal, so they had to cancel the bowl game they were going to play it. That's crazy.